It's not like Nick to be late. Jada Price, my partner at Storm Investigations, tilted her beer bottle so that it pointed toward our closed office door. He said that he'd be here early to help celebrate. Something better must have come up. I rammed the kitchen knife hard into the Black Forest cake I'd bought at a bakery down the street. We were having a little party to mark the end of a big case. We'd reunited a missing teenager with her family after a year on the street. It looked like the kid was happy to be home, and that felt good. What Jada didn't know was that our office assistant, Nick Roma, had asked me to dinner after the cake cutting. I'd been looking forward to seeing if the spark I felt for him could grow into something deeper. But Nick must have had second thoughts about his offer. He could have at least called to let me know he was backing out. "Refill your beer?" Jada asked as she pulled open the small fridge door. "No thanks. I'm going to head out for a burger after this cake. You can come along if you like." "I've got a date. Sorry." Jada had a string of men eager to take her out. She rarely had to cook a meal or eat alone. I raised the knife and gave the cake another whack. Nick Roma was the only date I'd accepted since I'd come back to Ottawa the year before. Now he'd stood me up, and I felt like a fool. I flipped the piece of cake onto a plate and handed it to Jada. She looked from me to the knife and back again, but didn't say anything. I hacked off a second piece for myself before we took our chairs side by side and put our feet up on the desk. Jada scooped a forkful of icing into her mouth. She followed it with a swallow of beer and said, "I hear your sister Sherry is back in town." "So I've been told." "You haven't seen her?" I shook my head. "It's complicated." "Yeah, I guess." She missed Evan's 7th birthday. I had mixed feelings about my flighty sister, mostly angry ones. What kind of mother left her family for a year to work overseas? Sherry's claim that she needed the time away to further her career had been the height of selfishness in my book. Evan and my brother-in-law Jimmy had coped okay after a few months of moping around. They'd both spent a lot of time at my dad's house, where I was staying. Maybe too much time. Jimmy and I had been engaged before he took up with my sister and married her instead. I could tell the last few months that he was rethinking his choice. I hoped Sherry's return from China would get things back to normal. I'd also been hoping a date with Nick Roma would get my thoughts off Jimmy. So much for good intentions.